Today on Funny Story, did 30 Rock steal this man's screenplay?
Give me the elevator pitch of Larry Leap Year.
All right, the elevator pitch is basically this wannabe holiday icon that's been turned mortal has 3 weeks to find his persona or identity, come up with the true meaning of Leap Year Day and why people should celebrate it, and convince the entire human race that it should be a holiday.
Do you remember what you told me before telling me your screenplay idea?
Yeah, I believe I probably told you not to tell anyone if I was going to give you tell you this idea. You know, I didn't want you to tell anybody because you hear all these stories about people stealing ideas, changing it a little bit, and then you can do nothing about it, and they take it, and it's gone. I wanted to make Leap Year a holiday. I wanted everybody to know it. It's an extra day to take a move towards your dreams.
This is Tom Shillue. This is Funny Story.
Wish I could grow old like Madonna, stretching my legs for a living at the beautiful age of 65.
For me, this story begins recently on a commuter train home to the Bronx. I was riding home and I was watching a guy in front of me watch comedy programming on his iPhone. And I was thinking, who watches these comedies on their phone? Just something I would never do. I don't watch much comedy anyway, on TV or on my computer or anything. I'm not a big. I mean, I guess it's because I'm in the, I'm in the comedy business. I just get enough of it. There are people I know that are on major network shows, major sitcoms. I know them quite well, and I don't watch these shows. You would think I would watch them, but I don't. I've had enough of comedy at the end of the day, and I want to watch costumed dramas or something on PBS. I'm very into British shows and things like that, or perhaps Ice Road Truckers. I love that kind of stuff as well. And nature documentaries or things about the planet or whatever. I just don't want to watch comedies. I just don't, I'm not that interested in them. Anyway, this guy was watching some comedy, and I decided to, maybe I'll give it a try. Try watching a half-hour comedy. My train is 25 minutes home to the Bronx, and I thought maybe I'll take in a sitcom. So I brought up 30 Rock, and I watched an episode of 30 Rock. And there it was, right in front of me.
What the hell? You're not wearing
at the
yellow
opening
and blue on
of the
Leap Day.
episode.
So what? Leap Day is not
Leap Day, William, Leap Day, William, first leap of the sea.
What the crap is going on in here?
Why, Leap Day William is visiting.
Leap Day William?
Miss Lemon, did you not grow up with Leap Day William? He lives in the Mariana Trench. He emerges every 4 years to trade children's tears for candy.
What? No!
But where were you when we did this 4 years ago?
Certainly not on a Michael's Crafts crafting cruise.
Leap Year William. What? Okay. Now we have to flash back 10 years. I was in my car. I was driving back from a stand-up gig. A guy named Danny McDermott was opening for me, and he was in the passenger seat. Danny turned to me and he said, "I'm working on some big stuff. I got a screenplay that's going to be really big." I said, "Really, Danny? Tell me about it." He said, "If I tell you about it, you can't tell anyone. Okay, this is going to be big. Somebody is going to steal it." I said, "Danny, I won't tell anyone. Go ahead, tell me." So he proceeded to tell me a synopsis of his screenplay about a character named Larry Leap Year. I recently talked to Danny, and I had him go over the script with me once again.
There's a mythical holiday icon named Larry Leap Year who wants to turn Leap Year Day into a real holiday, or he is basically fired and becomes immortal. He's living in the clouds with all the other holiday icons: Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Cupid. Actually, even non-holiday icons are up there. You got the Tooth Fairy. Oh yeah, I have the presidents from President's Day. Flag Day man once, Kwanzaa guy. I mean, Halloween, I have jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. Every dad for Father's Day and every mom for Mother's Day. You know, they have like cloud buses and, you know, they have a courtroom and Father Time's the judge, Baby New Year's the bailiff. And Larry only practices his magic every 4 years. And, you know, he messes up a lot. He's a kind of a slacker. And he has not turned his day into a holiday. So that's when he gets fired. And he has to go to Earth.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Danny McDermott. This guy is kind of a legend in the New York comedy world. I met Danny more than 10 years ago, and he was one of these guys who was a pioneer in the 90s comedy scene of starting your own rooms. You know, it used to be just the comedy clubs. You had to get on at the clubs and do anything you could to impress the club owner. You know, sit at his bar and just beg for late night spots and things like that. Guys like Danny, they were going to go their own route. If they weren't going to give him the spots, they were going to start their own rooms. So Danny started his own comedy room, and he was kind of a what they call a barker. He would get out there in the street, and he would flyer his own shows. Come see comedy tonight. And he would draw people into his club, and he would make his own action. He would get other comics to work for him, and they would all do the barking. If, you know, the club wasn't working out, he'd just pack it up like a nomad, and he'd move to another club. He ran a pretty successful room up on the Upper West Side for a while at the Underground Lounge. He and Steve Hofstetter ran the thing together, and he was a good comic too. He had an act, but you know, he wasn't getting the TV spots that he thought he deserved, so he was going to kind of make his own way. He was always thinking of big ideas. He always had something going on. One time, I remember I was walking down 42nd Street, and the AMC theaters, or one of these big theater chains, there on 42nd Street, had just, you know, recently renovated. And out in front of the theater on the marquees, there was movie stars like you see, you know, at the movie theater. Harrison Ford is on one of them. Julia Roberts is on another one. And then on another one, right next to Harrison Ford and Julia Roberts, is a big picture of Danny McDermott with a microphone in his hand. And I was like, what is going on here? I had to check it out. So I went inside. I went up the escalator. And on the second floor concession area, Danny's doing a show. He's there with a microphone, and there's people there with their concession goods, and Danny's doing stand-up at the AMC theaters. He made some kind of deal with the theater owner. He walked in there. You know, he probably blindsided the guy, the manager of the place, and he says, "Hey, you know, I'm a comedian. We should do live comedy here." And he probably didn't make a dime on the show. He just had some deal with the guy, and part of the deal was putting Danny's big face on the marquee on 42nd Street. There he was, his name in lights, right there next to Harrison Ford. That's the kind of thing Danny did. He always thought big, you know?
You will always be somewhere in my brain, just like Amy Winehouse or Kurt Cobain.
Another time I turn on the TV late night, and I'm flipping the channels, and then I see Danny doing stand-up on TV. It's a great shot of Danny doing stand-up at Caroline's Comedy Club. And I thought, oh, Danny hit it here. He hit the big time. What's going on? Well, Danny's doing a major network TV show. And then I'm watching him do stand-up. He's getting laughs. And then they cut to Danny, and there's an interview with him. He's in a big white room, and they're interviewing him. And I said, what is this? What kind of superstar profile is this? And then he's talking about his hair system and how it's working out for him. It's a Hair Club for Men commercial. Danny is he worked it into he worked his act into the commercial campaign. Somehow he convinced the Hair Club people to do a profile on him, you know, to show them just how successful you can be with one of these hair systems. You know, you go up on stage and you got the hair in your head, and you know, doesn't fall off, or whatever they were pushing there. It's just like the guy swimming in the pool or riding on the back of the jet ski. Danny McDermott's up there doing stand-up. And I saw Danny. I said, "Hey, Danny, I saw you on TV." He said, "Oh, yeah, I'm doing the hair club commercial." And I said, "Are you making a lot of money on that?" He said, "No, they're not. They're paying me in hair adjustments." So he worked out a deal. So he got free hair for years off of this thing. But he said, "Hey, you think I should be doing that? You think And I said, "Danny, do it." This is the kind of thing. Danny says yes. You give him an opportunity, he says yes. So that's the kind of guy he is. And we always used to sit around and tell stories about Danny. What's his next big idea?
You will always be somewhere in my heart, just like Neil and Thomas or Sylvia Plath.
During the big Actors commercial strike about a decade ago, we were forbidden to do any commercial or voiceover work. We were on strike. Well, Danny wasn't in the union. Danny snuck in and started doing all our commercials. He was booking them left and right, and all the actors were like, "You scab!" They're all yelling at him and everything. And I'm in the union, so I'm picketing and everything. But I couldn't begrudge Danny. This is a guy I was working with. He needed a way in. See, Danny was never part of the cool crowd, but he had to find his way in. I got to respect people like that. He saw his opportunity, he took it, and he was in there, and he's booking all the commercials. And everyone said, "You scab, you get it, And I said, that's Danny. He's got to use guerrilla tactics. If you're not in the cool club, you got to use guerrilla tactics to get in there. Right? I know, I'm just barely in the cool club. Right? I just sat down at that cool table and I wouldn't leave. That's my story. All right? Danny's got his. Okay? This is what this story is about. Danny had a good idea. It's a dorky idea, but it's an idea. It's a good idea. See, that's what sells. Are you kidding me? Have you seen the films that make money? The Santa Claus? Have you looked at that screenplay? Give me a break. All right? Larry Leap Year is right in the pocket. This thing could be a blockbuster. So, that's what this story is about. It's about a guy on the outside, and he can't get in. All right? That's Danny McDermott.
Now the tabloids say that you ain't gonna last, but I won't laugh. No, I won't cry the day that Britney dies.
So, when I saw the 30 Rock episode, I took a link to it and I emailed it to Danny. I said, "Danny, they stole your idea!" Exclamation point, exclamation point. Kind of with a bit of levity, not realizing this was 10 years ago that he described the screenplay to me, and I never forgot it. But I thought, well, Danny, maybe he's moved on. He's got another idea going or whatever. But no, Danny emailed me back immediately, and he said, "Tom, what's going on? How could they do this?" He said, "I told Judah about that screenplay. Judah Friedlander of 30 Rock. Danny told him about the screenplay idea just like he had told me in the passenger seat of my car years ago. He said, I told Judah about that idea." There it was. There was the connection. Judah Friedlander. Judah, did you steal the idea of Larry Leap Year from Danny McDermott?
No, I did not.
But Danny told me that he told you about the screenplay idea after a gig, like he did me. He told me in a car one day. Do you remember that? Do you recall Larry Leap Year?
I've known Danny for years, and I don't remember him ever telling me that idea. Danny's had a lot of ideas, right? Don't you? Yeah, Danny does have a lot of ideas. I've actually used Danny in some of my own projects. He's in my karate book that I made. He plays a role in there where we do photos and stuff. I'm beating him up in my karate book. And
So he takes a beating from you.
he takes a beating from me in my karate book. And then he also did a gig for me, a live gig, a personal appearance gig for me also, where he played a character. So yeah, I use Danny a lot. And I'm doing an upcoming movie where I might have him play a role as well.
Danny's been in the business for years. I've known him more than a decade. He's a hard worker. He used to have his own rooms. Is Danny funny?
Yes, I think he's very funny. And he's like a naturally funny dude. And I think he's also can be unintentionally funny, which I think is the key to great comedy. There has to be some like quirks about you that you may not even realize are funny, or that are just naturally funny without trying to be funny. And Danny has that stuff.
Now, I've watched the show. You're a writer on 30 Rock. I
play a writer on 30 Rock.
Wait a minute. I've seen you at the writer's table. You sit around with those guys. I don't understand. Like
I play a writer on the show. I'm not a writer on 30 Rock.
So there's a whole other group of writers.
Yes, that they write the scripts. I say the words they write.
And you never remember Larry Leap Year, the screenplay by Danny McDermott?
No, I don't. I remember when Danny, after the 30 Rock episode aired, I think it was called Leap Day William, after that aired, Danny called me or emailed me and was all, or both, and was really bummed out. And I didn't know what he was talking about at first. He told me about tons of other projects of his, including his one-man show and all these other things. And
How Not to Act is his one-man show.
Yeah.
Now, now Danny was shopping the screenplay around. He told me about it several times, and he told me not to tell anyone about it. So I tried to keep it as secret as I could. But do you think it's possible that script could have fallen on people's desks and somehow that could have dripped down to somebody who was on the show? What do you think?
I think that's definitely a possibility. Did it happen? I don't know. Is it a possibility? Yes.
You were happy singing, then you took a bow. It was all so perfect at the Disney show.
Okay, good alibi from Judah. Solid explanation. Maybe Larry Leap Year was just an idea whose time was going to come sooner or later. The leap year idea was out there in the ethers, ready to be used. Sometimes it's not always stealing. It's just out there. That's what I thought as I went to bed the other night after talking to Judah. And I woke up at like 4 a.m. I sat up in bed. I swear, I don't know if this is, what do they call that? Repressed memory? Or what happens when you go into the psychotherapist and it all comes out? You find out your uncle did something bad to you when you were a kid. Repressed memory. I don't know if it's reconstructed memory, but I woke up with a solid memory about, what was this? It's probably like 2001, 2002. I did a play on the West Side at the Ars Nova Theater. It was a play called Melancholy Baby. It was written by Jeff Richmond. Jeff Richmond, who's married to Tina Fey. And in the cast was Jack McBrayer. Jack McBrayer Kenneth on 30 Rock. It was a cast of all these Chicago comedians. Tina was not in the show, but she used to come to most of the performances. We did the play, and then we would go out afterwards, sometimes go out and have drinks. The memory all came back to me. There we were on 9th Avenue in an Irish pub. We're all drinking beer. I think Jimmy Fallon came by that night. There was a whole table of us. And we're all laughing, we're sharing stories. And I think I told the story of Larry Leap Year. I started telling Danny McDermott stories. We were all telling comedy stories, and Danny is a common subject with me. I love talking about Danny with other comedians. It's a fascinating subject to me. Guys like Danny, the journeyman comic, who's always trying to break in. And I thought Larry Leap Year was a very funny, in a dorky way, but funny in a real way idea as well. It was one of those ideas that was so ridiculous it just might work. And so I used to like to tell that story. I think I told those guys about Larry Leap Year. I think I told Tina Fey and Jack McBrayer and Jeff Richmond, the whole gang, I told them all about Larry Leap Year. I told them about Larry Leap Year. I spilled the beans on the Danny McDermott script. Was it my story that night over beers that got that story out there? Did I plant the seed in their heads? See, that's what got me the whole time. When I was watching that episode, Leap Year William? Leap Year William isn't even a good name for a leap year icon. If you're going to write a screenplay about a guy who brings leap year to the world, wouldn't it be Larry Leap Year or Lenny Leap Year, something like that? Something alliterative? Leap Year William. It just didn't have the ring to it. Did they remember my Larry Leap Year story? And they just had to change it. They couldn't go Larry Leap Year. They had to just change it a little bit. The thing is, am I the one who planted the Danny McDermott seed in their head because I was laughing with them over beers? Was I the conduit from Danny, the outsider? I got one foot in his world. I got another foot planted at the cool table. Did I spill Larry Leap Year? Well, this is for better men than me to figure out. Why don't we get our internet journalists on this? Somebody run this down for me. Huh? Larry Leap Year.
Should Danny keep shopping Larry Leap Year around, the feature film?
I think Danny should try to get it made. And I think maybe, I feel really bad for him because I talked to you about this and you told me that he told you the idea like over 10 years ago or something like that.
Exactly.
And so obviously, when he's saying, and it is a very unique idea, and it is like pretty much the exact same character, but Danny might have something going for him here. Because what Hollywood likes is not original ideas. Now, his idea is original. However, someone else got it out there first. I'm not saying they stole it, but it got out there first. So Hollywood likes doing things that have already been done. The fact that someone already did his thing could actually help Danny get the movie made.
So there's hope for Danny at last.
Yeah. So I wish Danny the best. And it's obviously a great idea he had, so he's going to have more great ideas.
That's it. We're all fountains of ideas.
Yeah.
That's when Lester steps up and goes, wait a minute, even though he was mad at Larry and he had all these problems, he screwed up his life, but he made it better, whatever, he stands up and gives this whole speech. It's like one of those speeches at Scent of a Woman. It's one of those big speeches, grand speeches, where tears come to your eyes, and he's touching holiday icons on the shoulder and talking to him, and everybody's reaching. It's really touching, actually. It's a really touching speech. And all of a sudden, one of the guys in the crowd starts chanting, "Leap year, leap year," and then everybody starts chanting "Leap year," and then all over the world, you see people watching the television sets going, "Leap year, leap year." Larry gets his holiday, and that's the end. Leap year is an extra day to take a chance to take one step toward your dreams.
This is Funny Story on Cave Comedy Radio. I'm Tom Shillue. Thanks for listening. Some of you are returning listeners. Please subscribe. We've got lots of great stories. Thanks to Marcus Parks, my engineer. I want to thank Jacko for the music once again. Jaakko. I don't know the guy, but I love him. And, you know, he makes royalty-free music, so God bless the man. If you want to learn more about Danny McDermott, go to my website, tomshillue.com. I'll put some links up there to some of his stuff. He's got a lot of web videos and other things you want to see. He's got his solo show called How Not to Act. And hey, if you want to pony up some money to invest in Larry Leap Year, the feature film, go to it, my friends. We should get one of those Kickstarters going on. I think we should do it. Follow me at Tom Shillue on Twitter. Let's keep in touch. This is Tom Shillue. This is Funny Story.
You were happy singing, then you took a bow. It was all so perfect at the